we should maybe consider doing some awkward silence. Just sitting here like therapists and
waiting for you to talk.
Waiting for somebody else.
We're therapists. We can wait it out like the best of them.
Come up on some ideas. Maybe we talk a little bit about resource group. Okay,
Yes.
so resource group is the Resource Group Counseling and Education Center began in 1983 in Towson, Maryland. It was formed by a couple of really talented clinicians, John Davis and Gloria Ewell among them, and the organization has grown and prospered since then, and now is moved their location, and we're now on LaSalle Road, right up the street from Calvert Hall College. The resource group has about 35 different people working here, all types of mental health clinicians, from psychiatrists to psychiatric nurse practitioners to professional counselors to clinical social workers, and we even have a PhD in psych. We handle things as diverse as substance abuse treatment. We do trauma treatment in different ways. One of the principal ways we do it is through dialectical behavioral therapy, and we do lots and lots of individual psychotherapy and medication management. The organization continues to grow, and our substance abuse program, which is known for its real attention to mental health issues and concerns, and it has a real focus on people, and so has real small groups, and people are expected to see their counselors at least once a week. So today we decided, I'm going to turn it over to Paris, because Paris is giving me the knowing glance of like, it's time for you to shut up.
No, I was just thinking it might be time for you to introduce yourself.
Oh, okay.
Since you've been talking at people for a while.
It's good. I'm Elliott Driscoll. I am the director and owner of the resource group, and I am also a clinician here, and I work with mainly men. So I do work with some women, but I work with mainly men, and I work on substance abuse, trauma, anxiety, depression, that sort of thing. My pronouns are he, him, and his, and I'll turn it over to Paris Bienert.
Yes, I'm Paris Bienert. I'm a licensed social worker, and I'm the Associate Program Director of Resource Connect, which is our substance use program here in the resource group. I'm also the Director of Marketing and Outreach, so I'm usually on the other side of the camera, so I'm very excited and a little nervous to be on this side. And I'm hoping that we get through with some technical operations today, so thank you to Sandy for helping us. So Elliot and I just were talking, we're always talking about this. It feels like we're always talking about alcohol abuse, alcohol addiction, and just the prevalence of alcohol everywhere in our society. And so let's first talk about why we decided to, that's really why we decided to have this conversation.
Yeah. Because one of the things we've noticed, and it's also in the news, is that alcohol consumption is way up, right? COVID has really gotten, people drinking more. The statistics on people that go to liquor stores and buy things shows that liquor store profits are up at least 27%, maybe higher. And so there's a lot more people that are drinking what feels like a lot more. That causes lots of problems for lots of people, and we're alcohol to try and get through the FDA these days. It had coming out of nowhere. It almost stands absolutely no chance of having gotten through. However, it is a big part of our society and has enjoyed quite a following, not least of which is in Washington, D.C. And it can cause lots of problems in our society when it's not used responsibly.
Mm-hmm. So just to lend us a bit of credibility, because I know that we work in this field, so of course we're going to be seeing many people with all types of substance use addictions, and particularly alcohol. So we just want to set the scene and make sure it's not just us feeling like this is a new phenomenon of a lot of people seeking help for problems with alcohol, but it really is, it's not just us. This is really happening. So right now there's estimated to be 17 million Americans who would be diagnosed with alcohol use disorder if they were to actually go through treatment and receive a diagnosis. And just 2 years ago, in 2019, that number was 14.5 million. So in 2 years, there are 2.5 million more Americans who are not just consuming alcohol, but consuming alcohol at a problematic level to actually be, have a substance use disorder. That's huge. That's like very hard to wrap your head around. And it just feels like no one's really talking about it. I mean, we're talking about it, but that's why we wanted to bring this conversation live, because it's not something that seems to be being paid attention to. And of course, we just are going through a global health pandemic. Of course, that is a very important thing to talk about, and we should take that the most seriously. But alcohol abuse, deaths from alcohol, problems from alcohol, alcohol-related issues are on the rise. We hear so much about the opioid epidemic, and that's certainly an epidemic. We all know that. Everyone hears about that in the news. I could say numbers, but we all know that huge amounts of Americans in all communities, rural, urban, everywhere in between, are becoming addicted to opioids, whether that's illicit street drugs like heroin or fentanyl, or pain, medication that's been prescribed to them, or both. And we talk about that. There are a lot more people abusing alcohol than are affected by the so-called opioid epidemic. And it is a true epidemic, but I really believe there's an alcohol epidemic as well.
Yeah, I mean, but people aren't talking about it because there's a really strong lobby in DC that is pushing for, it to be protected and that sort of thing. So I don't know if we're going to do anything about that today, but
we're taking on the government right now.
Yeah, it boils down to quality of life, and that's the thing, right? Is it people come in and people say, I work in the field. They know that I work in the field, and they say, oh, what's your success rate? And I'll say, well, what's your definition of success, right? If your definition of success is that everybody gets something, everybody improves, everybody's quality of life increases, we have absolute 100% success. Everybody gets something. We screen people at the beginning to make sure that they actually do have an issue, that we're not just treating people who think they had a bad day at the liquor store or at the bar. We're trying to help people who actually have a real condition. And if you have a real issue with alcohol, the truth is it's affecting your life in a lot of different ways. And talk about a whole bunch of different areas of your life. But think about it: family, social, medical, mental health, financial, professional. There's a bunch more where it can affect people's lives if you take an honest look at it. Some people don't take an honest look at it. They one of the things that people who have alcohol use disorder tend to be really good at is they tend to be really good at looking around at the people that they hang out with and going, oh, I'm not nearly as bad as Tom or Jim or whoever it is. And I guess in any area of our life we could do that. If I'm a video gamer and I'm gaming 6 hours a day and the guy next to me is doing 8 hours a day, it's not me with the problem. Truth is what is it taking from your family? What is it taking from your mental health? What's it taking from your professional achievement? Impact? What is it doing to you? And the data is just ugly, right? 95,000 people die of alcohol or alcohol use disorder, something related to that, in the United States every year, right? That's a lot of people.
And sorry to interrupt, but that's a much higher, a significantly higher number than the number of people dying from opioid use overdoses.
Yeah. So And that's a big deal.
Mhm.
How does it affect the quality of your life, though? Because, obviously nobody wants to die of,
Anything.
Right. Who wants to die, right? Unfortunately, nobody gets out alive. Newsflash. So your quality of life, it's your liver. It's your liver. Your liver is an incredibly important organ. What does your liver do for you? Well, it filters your blood. It helps make vitamin D. It produces things that help digest your food. If you're not digesting your food right, your blood's not getting filtered. Guess what? You're not going to be enjoying your life. You're not going to be thinking straight. You're not going to be remembering things. You're not going to be getting what you need to get, and your functioning is going to be a lot lower. Also, anxiety, right?
Yeah.
And the truth is what alcohol does is it stops you from feeling anxious for a period of time. But it's like a credit card. A credit card stops you from feeling poor. But what happens? You buy on a credit card, and then you have to pay back the credit card as well. So it's really similar in that way. I'm not about not drinking. I think there are people who drink, and I think they drink responsibly, and I really mean it. I know lots of them, but when it becomes a problem, and it either is a problem from the very beginning, that in some cases, and in other cases, it can become a problem. A person can cross the line and not be able to get back over the line.
Well, I think that's what is so tricky about the drug that is alcohol, is that it is so accepted, not just accepted, but encouraged in our society. I mean, you graduate, you have a major accomplishment, you graduate or you get married. How do you celebrate? Champagne, alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
You lose, you're grieving at a funeral. What do you do afterwards? You drink. And all life, significant life moments we're used to them being accompanied by alcohol. And so I think it's very hard, and I know it's hard I've heard this from a lot of clients I've spoken with who it's hard to know that you have a problem because it seems like everyone around you is drinking. They're not breaking the law yes, people drink and drive, yes, people can break the law, but it's a legal substance. I can go buy it in any store I want to. So it can become very hard to know the line between, acceptable, normal, healthy even, to I have a problem is very blurry. And it's much blurrier than, I would say, than any other drug, because pretty much every other drug is not legal.
Right, so societally is, the issue is it's become a norm, right? Mm-hmm. And, when it's a norm, and certain cultures it's more of a norm than in other cultures, even within our society, right? So if you happen to grow up, let's say, Irish Catholic, like I did,
many people in our area did.
Yeah, many people in our area did. And it's not just people who are Irish Catholic, but there's this whole idea that okay, it's a norm, and look, you have a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. It's great. Inhibitions go down. You feel like you're socially more able to navigate things that you weren't able to
There's
navigate
a reason
before.
It's so prevalent.
Yeah, people like the effect. They don't have to think as much.
It's a good product to sell.
It's a depressant. It really depresses your anxiety. It depresses your thought patterns.
Can you explain what a depressant means?
Yeah, so really basic, right? It shuts down your higher level stuff, right? You don't think as much. You don't worry as much. One of the things we know about anxiety is the smarter you are, the more anxiety you tend to have. So if you don't want to be so smart, drink a little, because you won't be as smart when you're drinking. Your social acumen will go down, even though it'll feel like it's going up. But you certainly won't have as much anxiety, and that's what people really like so much. And, that's great to not have anxiety. Unfortunately, when the drug comes off of your system, the anxiety comes back full force, doesn't go anywhere. So the depressant effect is, and it's long lasting, right? The depressant effect stays there. Alcohol stays in your system for a long period of time. People, a lot in the news about antidepressants and all these antidepressants and why are so many people taking antidepressants? Well, if you think about it, there's a lot of people taking depressants. If you're using alcohol on a regular basis and you're taking a depressant drug,
you're medicating. You're self-medicating.
Yeah. You're pushing down thoughts that are probably difficult to think and conflict with some of the other thoughts that you have. it drives you to, those thoughts, that anxiety can drive you to be a better person. It can